You're welcome back. It's Healthy Thursday, and today on our health segment, we want to talk about snoring. Now, most people snore when they sleep. It becomes a problem when it's quite excessive. But can it be cured? Well, we're going to get answers from Dr. Addy, who is a sleep disorder specialist. Dr. Addy, how nice to see you.
Yeah, good to be here.
All right, well, let's start from the beginning. What exactly causes snoring?
Yeah, the way to look at it is this, that if you force any fluid through a small space, it makes noise.
Yeah.
So that's the principle of flute, for example. You blow into it, it goes through a small space, makes noise. If water is running through a pipe, if it's flowing freely, it doesn't make any noise. It's a smooth, clear sound. So snoring is an indication that the airway is narrowing down. We are both wide awake and we are not making any snoring sounds because our throat space is wide open and the air is going in and out smoothly. So any snoring when somebody is sleeping is an indication that their throat space is beginning to close down or it's getting narrower. So that and there's a turbulence in the flow, so it's not going smoothly anymore, but it's vibrating. So there's vibration in the throat and the space is small as well.
So it doesn't happen while you're awake. Why does it happen while you're asleep?
I think you know that when we are sleeping, we are resting and we are relaxing. So your throat muscles are taut and they are tight. And like we are talking now, they are doing the functions. But when you fall asleep, the muscles, all your muscles relax. So it's a good thing that you relax and you can enjoy your sleep. But your throat muscles also relax. And sometimes they can relax so much that it gets narrower and then you begin to snore.
Okay. Now, some people snore, some don't.
Yes.
What causes the difference?
Yes, because we all have different amounts of space in our throat. And there's actually a misconception. People who have a thick neck or thick necks are more likely to snore. People think, oh, they have a thick neck, they have a big throat space. No, when your neck is getting bigger, the muscles and tissues are growing in both directions. So it's growing bigger on the outside, but it's growing smaller on the inside because the tissues are getting narrower. Then some people in some families snore more than others because we all have different kinds of anatomies. So some people have a small chin, the throat space is small to start with. Again, when you're awake, your muscles are active, they are keeping things going. But when you start with a small space and they get smaller, then you snore. So yeah, it's a amount of space that we have. Some have bigger spaces and some have smaller spaces.
Does it have anything to do with sleeping positions, you know, like the position in which you sleep? Sometimes when you're snoring, someone taps you and you turn, it suddenly stops. So, has that got anything to do with it?
Yes, position has a lot to do with it. There are very few people who snore when they are sitting right up because there's a thing in the back, it's called the uvula, the long thing that hangs. When you are sitting up, gravity pulls it down, so there's more space. When you are flat on your back, gravity works the other way. Your throat space gets smaller because your tongue rolls back, the uvula drops back, the space gets smaller, and you are more likely to snore. Worse on your back than on your side. If you can be prone, it will be even less significant. But if you sit upright, that can decrease. So sleep position has a lot to do with it. But when somebody is snoring and somebody taps you and you stop snoring, and you change your position, it may not necessarily be the change in the position. It may be a change in level of alertness. You see, like I said, when you are sleeping and you are relaxed, your throat space is going to be more relaxed and collapse. But when somebody taps you, you wake up briefly. You don't know that you are awake. But you wake up, your muscles get tight, and then you stop snoring. So it may be the position, but it may be the change in level of alertness. Or
which is probably why after a while you might start snoring again.
Again, yes. And sometimes people think it's a position, but it's just that you woke up and then fell asleep. I'll add another thing. There's sometimes when somebody is snoring, men snore more than women. So let's say it's a man who is snoring, the husband is snoring, the wife taps them and they stop snoring. Then they start snoring again, then they tap them. So the snoring itself can disturb the sleep of the person who is snoring. So the spouse tapping them only makes things worse because it makes them wake up more often. Obviously, the wife wants to sleep, so they don't like the sound.
Exactly. Oh, dear. So we're talking about your air waves here, you know, and the collapsing and the expansion of your air waves. Is snoring dangerous?
It can be. It can be. And sometimes I make the example with a headache. Just because you have a headache doesn't mean you have a brain tumor. So you can have a headache and it's malaria or you had a cold. And so it's not everyone who snores who is at risk. But snoring is closely related to sleep apnea. There are a few different kinds of sleep apnea. The type we worry the most about is the so-called obstructive sleep apnea. And you can see from the term, your throat is actually closing. Not only does it get narrower, but sometimes it closes all the way. So snoring is an indication, like I said, the space is getting smaller. Sometimes it gets so small you stop breathing. And you may stop breathing for 10 seconds at a time. If it's less than 10 seconds, we don't count it. 10 seconds or longer. And you may do this hundreds of times at night.
My word.
And people are usually not aware of it. But when you are doing this, it affects your heart rhythm. One of the things that happens, you start to snore, you stop breathing, air doesn't go through, your oxygen level drops, your heart senses there's something wrong, your heart rate may slow down. Then you gasp, you wake up, your heart races up. So one of the first things that you may have irregular heart rhythm at night. Snoring, when it's related to sleep apnea, is more likely to lead to high blood pressure.
Right.
High blood pressure is one of the causes of stroke.
Yeah.
So that's one of you can have a heart attack from this. People with sleep apnea are more likely to die in their sleep. I'm not saying this happens all the time, but then your risk is higher. People who have sleep apnea are more likely to have diabetes. So it can be
Can end up being
yeah.
dangerous.
Yes.
Wow. Right. Is there anything like a permanent cure if somebody snores? Is there a way of just ending that permanently?
Yes, but you see, I hesitated before because I said that yes. Because cure in medicine is not something we achieve often. We can control things. So let me talk about the kinds of things that can be done to help decrease snoring or help improve it.
Okay.
We talked about position. Okay. Some people snore or have the apnea only on their back. So for somebody like that, they have to learn to no longer sleep on their back. And there's a way to teach people not to sleep on their back. Basically, you make it so uncomfortable on your back that you have to turn on your side. There's something we have called the tennis ball method. You basically put a tennis ball in the T-shirt in the back. And anytime you roll on your back, it becomes so uncomfortable, you have to turn and sleep on your side. So that is one way to do it. Then there are mouthpieces that you can wear. You see, again, it's a space problem. If you have a small chin, it's not for everyone, and your chin is moved back, and you have a small space back to front, a dentist can make a mouthpiece that you put in your mouth. It moves your lower jaw forward slightly and keeps it there. So even when you're on your back, you see the muscles may relax, but then it keeps the throat open. You asked about what can help improve, and I was talking to another group yesterday, and this came up. There is something that does not help. Some people are selling or advertising a chin strap. I've seen this in one of our local newspapers, that if you wear this, then it's going to keep your mouth shut and you will not snore. That is based partly on the misconception that people snore because their mouth is open. And I often say that you are not snoring because your mouth is open. Often your mouth is open because you are snoring. Because we said earlier that you are breathing, the air is supposed to go through your throat, the back of the throat. And if that space is getting smaller and you are snoring and the breathing is not good, you may tend to open your mouth so you are breathing through your mouth
to get more
air in. But some people think close your mouth and then you stop snoring. But then if you close the mouth, you are taking away this other space where they may breathe. But there's some people selling a chin strap. And a lot of people are buying it. When I talked to a group yesterday, some bought it and it doesn't work because you close your mouth, but your throat space is still small.
So you'll just snore through your nose instead.
Yes. So, but how about a cure? So I'll talk about a cure first and talk about the more practical things we often do. There is major surgery that can be done. So if somebody has a very small chin or small throat space, you can do bony surgery and move the jaw forward and give them a permanently bigger space. But that is rare. We often do not do that. It's a drastic measure. But you wear glasses and I wear glasses too. one of the most effective treatment for snoring, especially if it's related to sleep apnea, is something that helps you to breathe. It doesn't cure it. You see, your glasses doesn't cure your IVG, but you have to have it on. It's called the CPAP. There is a continuous positive pressure ventilation. It's a mask that you wear. There is a little pressure to the air. So instead of leaving you to be breathing on your own, it pushes the air gently under pressure. So it keeps your throat open. That's why I hesitate. So when you wear your glasses, it gives you good vision, but it doesn't cure
your sight.
So there is effective treatment, but a cure is a lot.
Now, of course, in the absence of numerous treatment options, we want to think about if there is a way of preventing, or preventing. And you mentioned earlier that actually people who have thicker necks are more prone to snoring.
Yeah.
Does this perhaps indicate that your size could also be a factor when it comes to snoring?
Yes, that is a good point to make. So one of the recommendations we make for somebody who is overweight is to lose weight. Losing weight is a very good practical thing to do for most people. And when you lose weight, you are losing fatty tissue too. So the thing with the thick neck is, and there's a recent paper saying that a lot of the fat gets deposited in the tongue. So the tongue becomes more fatty. And we know fatty tissue is more flabby, so it's good. So if you are able to lose the fatty tissue, you can open the space up. So that is a very effective and helpful thing to do. Another thing, people who snore and are not breathing well may have interruption in their sleep. They may have difficulty sleeping because the throat is vibrating, they're making sound. And some people will resort to drinking alcoholic beverages to help them to get to sleep. That is one of the wrong things to do, because alcohol can relax your throat muscles a little bit more. You may fall asleep, but you are going to snore more. But the other thing is this: alcohol decreases the effectiveness of your body reacting to something that is not good. So if you are snoring, space is getting smaller, oxygen level is dropping. Without alcohol, you are alert quickly. I mean, you may not wake up, but you are alert and you take a breath. But when you drink at night, the alcohol decreases your ability to respond to something that is not. So you are going to go longer snoring or longer lower oxygen. So that is not good. Another thing is sleeping pills. A lot of the sleeping pills that are used or prescribed by doctors can also relax your throat muscles. So if you are snoring and you are not sleeping well, the solution is not to go to a sleeping pill quickly. You may make
make it worse. Yeah. Fascinating. So, all right. So at this point, I mean, with all of these, all of this information being available, if a person is worried about their snoring, what can they do? What's step one?
It's a good thing to let your doctor know about it. It's for some time the doctors have not, or medicine has not paid a lot of attention to this. But those of us in sleep medicine are encouraging doctors to become aware of this. So if you talk to your doctor, then the doctor may be able to point you to others you may see, and now there are specialists that can see people for that. But the practical things you can do, I mentioned the alcohol, you want to avoid sleeping pills at night. And there are also good sleep habits that can help improve your overall sleep.
Right.
We talked about weight, so you want to watch your weight. Good regular exercise is always a good thing, not just for snoring, but for every aspect of health. Yeah. So these are things that we can all do.
Dr. Obo Addy, you've really opened our eyes, if not our throats, to the reality of snoring. Thank you very much.
Thank you
for that.
Thank you.
All right, now coming up is something rather exciting. You know, every year the Sugar Project, after raising money during the Pop Chain All-Star concert, they go out into the country to help people who normally can't afford it to test for diabetes and high blood pressure and so forth. And they often come back with some alarming statistics. But it's all in aid of people having a better, healthy life. So we're about to hear this year's plans for the Sugar Project outreach, which is ongoing as we speak. But the Grand Durbar, the finale, if you like, will be tomorrow in Bator. You're about to hear all about it as Roland speaks to the organizers right after these.